we might start to increase our forwarding range, or perhaps we would decide to cut back our opening range a bit to make ourselves a bit less exploitable to people that want to 3-bet behind us. So that's kind of an overall strategy. I will go through and do, like I said, pocket pairs, ace-x's. You break it down into suited connectors, break it down into suited gappers, unsuited broadways. I think the biggest things you want to look at are like the marginal hands. Low pocket pairs are fairly marginal. Like the suited aces can be marginal. Unsuited aces are very marginal hands. So, stuff like the weak unsuited broadways, 10 jack, queen 10, king 10 off, ace 10 off. Kind of want to get an idea of, because sometimes your leak might be that you're overplaying those hands, stacking off with ace 10 offsuit with top pair, where your opponent is just going to have a stronger range all the time. So it's important to kind of group hands and figure out if you're playing one group too strongly or too weakly. And so if you look at this, ace-x offsuit, it's a somewhat significant sample size. And if you look at it, our win rate's pretty close to 0 from early and middle, just because we're not really playing those hands, which is fine. They don't play that well out of position, so you can't really hit a big hand. But they're pretty decent late position hands a lot of times, just because you have a good chance of stealing the pot, and you have a hand that will have decent showdown value a lot of times. But it looks like here it's extremely marginal for this player, which seems to indicate that perhaps he's overplaying some top pair hands and putting too much money in. You would think on the button this hand would be, even though it's not great, it'd be pretty easy to be plus EV with this hand. And so that'd be something I would look into, a filter for these type of hands, and look for big pots I've lost where maybe I'm putting in too much money with top pair, or not being able to, or maybe value betting too lightly when I have top pair, things like that. So that's kind of a good idea, a good strategy, a good exercise to do to figure out what hand groupings you might be playing less than optimally. Then the last thing you would want to do is filter for situations, which I'm not really going to go into, but it's more like if you feel you have trouble with 3-bet pots, filter for hands where you defend, and see how much money you're winning, and try and compare it to how much money you would have won if you just folded pre-flop. Look for spots where if you call a 3-bet and you fold the flop 70% of the time, then obviously you're folding way too much, and you can either start to float more, bluff raise, etc. And so situational aspect would be the last thing I would look at. Different situations where I felt that I could improve upon. 3-betting, it'd be one of the big ones. Defending 3-bets. When you 3-bet, how often you're c-betting, how often you're double barreling, things like that. And that'll give you a good idea. Even though it'll take a little bit of work, I think it's a good practice to do. Every few months when you're running badly, just to give you a better boost, a better idea of how you're playing, and it can give you insights into weaknesses you may have that your opponents may be trying to exploit. And by being aware of your own game and weaknesses you might have, it might help you to then detect weaknesses in other players that you can exploit in return. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you guys like this video, I could go into more depth and do a part 2 and actually go, review some hands, do these filters and try and find leaks that way, and do some situational stuff like the 3-bets if there's interest for that. So please let me know in the comments if you liked it, didn't like it, what I could do better, etc. This has been Dan for LeggoPoker.com. Thanks for watching.